Very good afternoon, all of you. I'm very happy to welcome all of you to the 14th session of our department webinar series. First of all, I'm very proud to welcome Dr. Rahul Soman. So he is our PhD alumni. He took his PhD under late Dr. Arun Kumar C. Also, I would like to welcome Dr. Raju Day. So he is the chairman of this webinar session. And let me say a few words about Dr. Raju Day. Dr. Raju Day is working as an assistant professor at Department of Chemistry, NIT Calicut. He completed his MSc from IIT Delhi in the year 2007. He received his PhD in 2012 from Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, Jadavpur, Kolkata. Subsequently, he moved to King Abdullah University for Science and Technology, Saudi Arabia. There, he spent 4 years as SABIC postdoctoral fellow at KAUST Catalysis Center under the supervision of French chemist Professor Jean-Marie Basset. In 2016, he moved to University of Bergen, Norway, for his second postdoctoral work funded by Norwegian Research Council. His postdoctoral work mainly focus on heterogeneous catalysis in the area of alkane metathesis. Dr. Raju joined in our department in 2018, and his research interests include green chemistry, single atom catalysis, carbon dioxide transformation, etc. Once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar series, and I invite Dr. Raju Day to chair this webinar session and also to introduce our speaker, Dr. Rahul Soman. Thank you all.
So thank you, Sujit sir, for your kind introduction and give me the opportunity to chair the session. Today's webinar series is the 40th session, as Sujit sir mentioned, and in the past session we have seen how nicely we engage with our science talk. However, this webinar session is very special to us, as the speaker is none other than our alumni, Dr. Rahul Soman. His title of presentation is Design of Bowl-Shaped Ring Contracted Chlorines and Anti-Aromatic Expanded Porphyrins. Dr. Soman holds a master's degree in pharmacy from Dr. MGR Medical University, Tamil Nadu. He received his PhD from NIT Calicut in 2015 under the guidance of our respected late Dr. C. Arun Kumar Sir. During his PhD period, Dr. Rahul has published 8 scientific publications and received the Best Poster Award at the international conference conducted by Madras University. Soon after completing his PhD, he was awarded National Postdoctoral Fellowship, NPDF, and then his Kothari Postdoctoral Fellowship to pursue his postdoctoral research at University of Hyderabad. And he has many notable publications with very good citation score. Last year, Dr. Rahul published an article in Organic Letter from the University of Hyderabad. Recently, he filed a patent too. His research interests covered the development of contracted and expanded porphyrinoids towards biological and material applications. So with these few words, I welcome Dr. Rahul Soman in our webinar and request him to deliver his lecture. Over to Dr. Rahul Soman.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for that kind words and introduction. And first of all, I am thanking Dr. Sujit sir also for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And thank you, Raju Dey sir, for giving me that wonderful introduction for me. And what has he told, my topic of discussion is design of bowl-shaped ring contracted chlorines and anti-aromatic expanded porphyrinoids. Before entering into the presentation, I would like to remember my gate. Arun sir is not beyond my gate. He was a lot to me. Because of him only, I am able to pursue my research and he only introduced me to the world of tetrapyrrolic pigments, that is porphyrinoids. Going to my introduction section, that is porphyrins, and there are various tetrapyrrolic pigments are there. Those are porphyrins, chlorins, bacteriochlorine, and porins. These are four different type of naturally occurring tetrapyrrolic pigments, where if you see, porphyrins are of many of us knows that this porphyrin structure and all, there are two exocyclic double bonds are there. If you are reducing this one exocyclic double bond, you will be getting chlorine. And if you are reducing two exocyclic double bonds, then we will be getting bacteriochlorines. And chlorine is having a different structure where there is no conjugation in it. Here, my first talk will be on chlorine, contracted chlorines. So we are going to speak about a system where we will get contracted chlorines. So in contracted porphyrinoids, so in general, there are three different type of contracted porphyrinoids are there. One is Carol, and another things are triphyrin and subporphyrin. Actually, Carol is a compound where one mesocarbon is missing. Only three mesocarbons are there in it, where in case of other system, three mesocarbons and alpha-alpha direct bond is there in Carol. And in case of this tripyrinic system, 14 tripyrinic system, there is one entire pyrrole moiety is missing. Or these carbons, four different mesocarbons are also there. But in subporphyrin system, what is the difference is it is the real contracted porphyrin, I can say, because here only three mesocarbons and three pyrrolic units are there. So porphyrin minus one mesocarbon and one pyrrole ring, we will get this subporphyrinoid residues. Recently, Dijo have published a detailed review on coordination chemistry about this tripyrinic system. She is also working in the same direction only, which I am going through. She have her area of interest is this tripyrinic compound, and I would like to bring your attention to the key compound, that is subchlorine. Subchlorine is a compound that is relatively very less explored in the literature. So far, there is only two papers are published on this subchlorinic macrocycles. One is published in first paper is published in 2008, and that is how they have synthesized. That is, they have taken the parent subporphyrin residue, and here also there is an exocyclic double bond is there. So that exocyclic double bond they reduced by paratosyl hydrazide, and they got this subchlorine moiety, and that was relatively very easily it was able to convert to corresponding subporphyrin by MnO2 simple oxidation reaction itself. It was able to convert to corresponding subporphyrinoid. And later, one more paper is also speaking about this molecule, where this was not their area of interest. This is in that paper they are synthesizing subbacteriochlorine. So from subbacteriochlorine, they were synthesizing this subchlorine. These are only two papers that is speaking about subchlorines, and they have not explored any material properties of this compound also, because they are able to get hardly very less yield in this synthetic methodology, because subporphyrin itself directly synthesizing is very difficult, and from there oxidation reduction means it is even a tedious task only. So our task is to make this subchlorine in a reasonable quantity and explore, because this in that paper they are speaking about the fluorescence of this compound. These compounds are highly luminescent because it is having a body pay kind of structure, because there is a central boron atom is there in it. What make this this central boron atom? This central boron atom is making this compound even more interesting, because if so far all subporphyrinoid system that is only reported with central boron atom, and that boron also it is in a tetrahedral geometry, that makes the molecule a non-planar structure. both subporphyrin and subchlorines. They are in a bowl-shaped structure, they used to say, because this boron will be projecting upward, and all this, because of the tetrahedral geometry, it will be always nitrogen will be facing towards it, and it's opting a non-planar geometry or bowl shape it is following. So that's all about this introduction of the subchlorine. And let's come to my NPDF work. What was my NPDF work is to design a molecular theranostic. So before going to what I have done, I would like to say what is a theranostic. A theranostic is a recent term that started appearing in the literatures from 2011 onwards. Actually, the concept is there even before also, but the word started more commonly appearing in literature from 2011 onwards. And after that, till now, what is the growth is within this short period of time, there is a lot of papers coming in theranostics. And why I have to say that, there is a journal also named Theranostics now, because within last 5 years, theranostics is a booming concept where we are having in one mixer or one moiety itself, we are mixing both diagnostic and a therapeutic agent together. So that will make that can be used as a therapeutic agent. Same time, we will be able to what is the progress of the disease, that we will be able to monitor this as a diagnostic tool. So that is the interesting thing about this theranostics. My aim is to develop a compound which is acting as a therapeutic agent by means of photodynamic therapy, and by means of fluorescence, we will be able to detect the cancer cell. That is what my objective, to design a single molecular theranostic. A molecular theranostic means in nanotechnology or material science, we can develop theranostic by mixing 2 or more components together. A molecular theranostic means a single molecule itself I have to utilize as both therapeutic and diagnostic tool. So that is what my objective. For that, what are the criteria needed, or what are the steps involved in the designing? First one is selection of the molecule. See, in selection of the molecule, this compound should be highly luminescent, first of all. And secondly, if it is red fluorescence, means it is even good. And if it is even more very good fluorescent, then it is good only. And secondly, it should be high. It should show very high singlet oxygen producing efficiency, and it should be showing less aggregating power, and it should be biocompatible in very low concentration at least. So a absence of light, it should be compatible with the cells. So that is the criteria of selection of the molecule. And secondly, we have to synthesize and characterize, then exploration of photophysical properties, followed by its singlet oxygen producing efficiency. That is the key tool that we have to do. Then we have to study the biological studies of this compound, light and dark toxicity of this compound we have to be explored. Then tissue compatibility and penetration power of this compound we have to explore. So I hope many of them working in photodynamic therapy and heard about photodynamic therapy, they might be heard how it is working and all. It is here I have narrated it with a very simple Jablonski diagram, where whenever light is absorbed by this photosensitizer, it will go to its excited state and it will come back to its singlet state. And from singlet excited state, if it is a photosensitizer, it should show very high or very good triplet state stability, and it have to cross the intersystem, and it have to come to triplet state. And from triplet state, while coming to ground state, this energy should be matching towards to convert a triplet oxygen or tissue oxygen to its singlet state form. And this have to that will lead, once singlet oxygen form means, it will lead a series of reactions inside cells, and it will cause the cell damage. It will once singlet oxygen is there, means it will start producing reactive oxygen species, and it will be creating the cell damage. So that is the basic mechanism, and these are the drugs already there approved by various agencies like FDA and all. FDA and European Union, many of these compounds are accepted only towards the therapy. And these are the milestones of the work. Initially, we have selected this subfluorine as compound because these compounds, as I said, these are not planar in structure. So this will not be creating any stacking and followed by aggregation. It will be showing very less aggregation power. And this compound shows a very interesting fluorescent property. And not only that, later we found that we found for the first time that these compounds can produce singlet oxygen in a good to effective yield. So later we have synthesized and confirmed the structure with all spectral analysis, spectral techniques we have done. And interestingly, these compounds we have studied we have reached cell line study. Animal study we have planned, but unfortunately in between COVID pandemic and all came, and that doesn't happen yet. So the studies lies in the cell line stage. In cell line, it is showing very good efficiency, like this compound is going into cells and it is not going into nucleus. It is binding with some cytoplasmic proteins. That which cytoplasmic protein that we have not yet found, that also we have to do only. So that is the status of this work. So I will explain the path what I have covered or gone through. First, I have done the synthetic methodology, or I have done established a synthetic route for this compound. We have synthesized or explored this, because this compound before I reach in the lab, they have already stabilized this synthesis of this starting material and these compounds, and they were in a process to go to subfluorine chemistry. So once I reached, I joined to the group, and this and the person who is working on this field, he also got a completed PhD and he left for NPDF. And that time I start up the work, and I was able to characterize it with a single crystal XRD, and I have found this compound structure. And not only that, whenever I am doing this reaction, I found this compound is coming along with another fluorescent material. So that compound is coming as a green fluorescent material, and along with that, a very minute yield, there is a red fluorescent material also. Initially, we were not able to characterize what is that material. So later we found, actually, if we check the mass of these kind of compounds, this BO axial ligand, we used to name this axial ligand, will not be coming in HRMS and all, because that will get cleaved very easily. Boron is very happy with this 3 nitrogen itself, and it will be, this OH will undergo cleaving very easily. So once we got the NMR also, this both this dimer and monomer is showing almost same pattern NMR, because OH will not appear in room temperature NMR. Whenever it is going to low temperature, around -50 only, we will be able to stabilize the OH group. That will appear around -1 ppm level. And this dimer also we were able to, later we found by crystal structure that this compound is a dimer. Before that itself, we interpreted that this will be a dimer, and this compound we have confirmed with single crystal, then we have finalized this is a dimer. And another, not only that, these subfluorines, we found that these compounds are highly stable. And initially, whichever reported the subfluorines, they were able to, as I told, they were able to oxidize it with MnO2 and PbO2 and all. But this compound is not undergoing oxidation that much easily. So that indicates the stability of this compound. This compound is very stable. Even with DDQ oxidation only, this compound is able to oxidize, and that also DDQ refluxing method we have to do in RT. With DDQ, usually porphyrins will undergo oxidation, but this is not going oxidation that much easily. So with that, may be because of these electrons, very strong electron withdrawing group that is attached in the meso position. That is the reason we are expecting that this is having this much oxidation stability. So we found this compound is undergoing oxidation in refluxing condition only, and we can regenerate the compound with same paratosyl hydrazide itself. So interconversion of the subporphyrin also we were successful. And not only that, we have developed some other, because here we have developed a meso-free system. So towards meso-functionalization, we have used acid chloride, or we can use aldehyde also here. But acid chloride method is more apt or more easy method. If we are using aldehyde, means we have to use an external acid that will create a lot of trouble in the synthesis, and that is leading the yield reduction and all. This is the UV visible spectra of this subchlorine and subporphyrin that we have made. And dimer and monomer, you can see this dimer is almost having a same absorption pattern as that black line is showing monomer and red line is showing dimer. This is having similar absorption pattern, where the emission of dimer is appearing very much redshifted, that is coming around 600 nanometer lambda max, and where monomer will show a emission in yellow region, that maxima is around 540 maximum. So in that region, so we were very much excited to see this dimer, and dimer is having very interesting emission behavior, because that we plan to explore even more. And these emission spectra we have studied in polar and non-polar solvents. Whenever the dimer is showing in very good fluorescent in non-polar media, then but it is really unfortunate that this dimer will not show very good, or it is not showing any good emission pattern in the in polar solution. So for designing a theranostic, what we need is that compound should be very much luminescent in water. Then only it will be showing. So we found that dimer is showing a quantum yield of even DMSO and all, it is not even showing a quantum yield. If it is 0.000, we will not write that quantum yield. It is very much negligible emission it is showing. And where monomer is showing almost all regions same emission pattern. So some with the help of some theoreticians, Jovan sir, so he have suggested us to synthesize a compound where we are having a triester. Triester is there, so that you will be getting very good emission in the red region, like that he suggested. So that compound showed a very good emission in the red region. That also 600 it is showing emission. So that is not yet published compound. So that is, we are now communicated. It is in press only, and we have done the crystal structure analysis of this compound. And from crystal structure analysis, we found that this dimer is having a two chromophores are attached face to face, and this face to face, these compounds, whenever this is arranging in solid state, this six-membered ring is coming exactly stacked, very forcefully stacked each other, and that distance is 3.29 Armstrong. So which indicates this monomer, these chromophore units can communicate each other very easily. So there is some energy transfer is happening, that because of that only, this lifetime of the excited state lifetime of this compound is getting reduced, and the quantum yield of this dimer is getting reduced. We have we have done a singlet oxygen luminescence spectra and singlet oxygen quantum yield calculation. In singlet oxygen quantum yield, that also very much exciting to us, because this compound shown singlet oxygen producing efficiency as that of the reported chlorine E6. So not reported, they are established drug in the market. And this compound also, that is showing 60%. This is showing almost 58 to 60, 56% singlet oxygen producing quantum yield, where dimer shown very less. And not only that, whenever we have tried this dimer in cell line also, this dimer is not performing well. So that third compound, triester compound, that is also producing relatively good singlet oxygen producing efficiency. So we jump to our next step, that is cell line studies. In cell lines, these compounds, as I told, these compounds are going into cytoplasmic region, and here we have marked the nucleus of this compound with established drug HEST, and these are HeLa cell lines. And if you see very carefully, you will be able to understand that this compound is clearly going into cytoplasm. And not only HeLa cell lines, we have continued the work in Miyapaka cell line too. And there also we found this compound is not binding with any nucleus or DNA, and this is binding only with the cytoplasmic region. And later, we have studied the light and dark toxicity of this compound in this. And previous cell line studies I have not mentioned too much. That is also about to publish only. And in Miyawaka cells, this compound is able to show light toxicity, where this compound, if you see, this is a DMSO control. Whenever cell proliferation we have checked, this compound is killing almost 50% of the population when we are using 1 micromolar solution. And that also in light, and in dark, this compound is not killing any cells. That indicates this compound can be act as an ideal photosensitizer. So if a photosensitizer means it should not create any dark activity. It should be killing the cell lines only in the light. We are proposing this subfluorine one that is a very good photosensitizer, and this is almost comparable with established drug, that is ponatinib and paclitaxel. This is having almost equivalent action to that. So in this section, we are concluding that these compounds can be. We have developed a facile synthetic one-pot synthetic methodology for these subfluorines with the help of 2 electron withdrawing group in the meso position. And these subfluorines, because of this electron deficient character, these are found to be highly stable towards oxidation. And further, we have isolated a mu-oxo analog also, which is showing a conformation like phase-to-phase dimer, and there is an energy transfer also we were able to find out, and singlet oxygen producing efficiency of this compound. And so we have started basic study towards photodynamic therapy in cell lines also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul Suman, for such an interesting and wonderful talk. So now the session is open for discussion.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, you will proceed.
Yes. Who is speaking?
Sir, I think Chinnasamy sir is saying something. So
Yes. I have a couple of questions. I, Rahul,
Yes,
I'm an assistant professor in NITC. I joined 2020.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I knew about you, sir. My lab mates also used to speak about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was the MSc student there. I know very well about Professor Pradeep.
Not only that, sir, while doing PhD itself, I knew about you because I cited your paper and I read your paper, that tin explosive paper, and motivated me to do.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. And I have a couple of questions. When you're talking about PS, like a photosensitizer at slide number 7, can you go to slide number 7 if you are able to do that?
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, here as you told, why the photosensitizer needs to stay more time on triplet state? Why it is necessary? You told,
Sir, it is not clear.
You told photosensitizer need to stay more time on triplet excited state. Why it need to be that?
Not more time, sir. Triplet population at the triplet energy state should be more. Then only we will be not more time. It is all about population of the molecule in the triplet energy state. And if the population is more in the triplet energy state, then only it will produce more singlet oxygen. That is the reason, sir. Not
but
it should stay more.
Yeah. Maybe I missed or something, but
population of this triplet state should be more only, sir.
Yeah. And one more thing, when we are making that oxidation of like a slide number 9,
yes,
you selectively did the reaction. How it is possible? See, this is the first reaction, right?
You are speaking about DDQ oxidation?
Yes. DDQ oxidation. See, actually the reaction will occur, the cyclization come oxidation. I'm right, right?
DDQ oxidation we are doing this.
not DDQ. This completely formation of this this kind of
Yes, sir.
structural molecule.
Yes, yes, yes.
Cyclization oxidation should happen, right?
Yes.
How it is possible to selective oxidation? How it is possible? But DDQ is a very active and a very strong.
No. Here, if you see, we have not used DDQ. If we are using DDQ and 100-degree refluxing, this will undergo. It may undergo. We have not tried also. It may undergo just like that complete oxidation. But this is aerial reflux only. That means open air oxidation we are doing, and because of this two ester groups here, that locks the compound. Otherwise, if it is just going complete oxidation, means I will not be able to get an organic letter paper. That is the specialty of this reaction. And not only that, if we are doing these kind of compounds only, if this is a push-pull kind of system, not push-pull, here it is hydrogen only. If it is this system where we are having 3 ester group in it, I have synthesized that also. In that case, whatever you told, this system will undergo complete oxidation also. But same time, we will get both the compound together. That time, it will be completely oxidized compound also will be there, and partially oxidized compound also will be there. But this here, because of this ester group only, that is protecting towards partial oxidation.
Yeah, and one more comment you did, when is the electron withdrawing group, that's why we are able to get a selective, this kind of reduced one, right? Did you try any O-methoxy substitution on that ester instead of ester? Did you try O-methoxy or something methyl, and how the reaction is going, how the reaction happened?
Instead of COET, COMe, you are saying, sir?
Yes. No, OMe, not COMe. COMe also electron withdrawing. I'm telling electron donating group, as you told us selectively, like a very strongly, because of the electron withdrawing only, this reaction is going on.
Yes, sir.
Did you try? Maybe referee also may ask this question, I believe. I don't know. In OL it's published, right?
Published. Now JOC in the second paper.
Yeah, did you try that OMe or something like a methyl or some other donating group you tried?
Here, electron donating group. That is already well established systems are there, sir. And I have also done that reactions, definitely, because whichever electron withdrawing, electron donating group is here, then this will be completely oxidized system only, subporphyrin only. So that is the reason we didn't move towards that. Not only that, if these pyrols are electron rich, means we used to have pyrols with beta position attachments, like ethyl will be there, methyl will be there. That also will not give like this structure. It will be completely oxidized system only we will get. That we have done already.
Can you go to slide number 11? Actually, I surprised to see the absorption and emission of monomer. Here, there is a stroke shift. Best of my knowledge, I can see very clearly. It is not more than 10 nanometer stroke shift. Why it is stroke
shift of this molecule?
Monomer I'm talking. Monomer, not dimer.
Monomer stroke shift is comparatively means it is less only, where the dimer is having more than 80 nanometer or something, that stroke shift is there.
Why it is so? Why it is happening like this? And also similar reports, like I think same lab, Tridip Sharma published one paper, like a naphtha thing, that is a huge stroke shift. Why it is
huge stroke shift? Yes.
Why it is less here? You have any comments on that?
I think that it will be because this compound symmetry will be one reason. Very high. This compound symmetry is one reason, I think.
This dimer is not, as you told, this compound is not symmetry.
This compound is having symmetry, sir. This compound will be like this one, symmetry will be there.
No, this compound is like a tetrahedral geometry. Its symmetry means what symmetry you are talking?
This is if you NMR you are seeing means this compound is heterosymmetric. That is why this compound we can just like we are cutting, that only will come here in the NMR. Can
you correlate like a symmetry and fluorescence? Any correlation is there? You have any idea? Correlating the photophysical properties and symmetry of molecule.
That if I can tell that because if you see in case of this dimer, this compound dimer, if we are we are able to see a very long stock shift here, and it is coming around 600 nanometer. But if you see this right now, what I have made in case of triester case in the COET, completely symmetrical molecule, that case this shift is not that much. This shift will be very much reduced only. So it will be 5 to 6 nanometer difference only. That triester, whenever this is in triester form, that is showing that much only. We are able to get the stock shift.
Okay. Okay. And one more thing, actually, when the dimer lifetime value,
Yeah.
you told it is decreasing because of the dimer. Why?
Yes.
Why? What is the thing here? What's going on here? I didn't understand. Why it is happening?
There is a because I mentioned that there is a energy transfer. Is I told you there is a energy transfer is happening. That is only because that result only it is having that much this thing, that energy in case of polar solvent. If you are having these polar solvents, that time because of this polarity difference, that will be energy will be transferring into solvent also. That is the reason.
Your dimer, can you tell me who's the donor, who's the acceptor? Both are electron deficient because of the ester group. And who's tackling the donor, who is accepting?
This is a face-to-face dimer only, and the arrangement, if I have removed the ester group here, the system is having a push-pull system. The system, if you see, there is monomer itself, that is a push-pull system. Here it will be energetically more, electron cloud will be more, and here it will be comparatively less electron. So there will be both are even same chromophore, there will be a change in electron density. So there will be an energy transfer. That is the reason. That is the reason whenever triester we are doing fluorescence, that is triester dimer is not showing that much flow, means redshifted fluorescence, and that much communication is both chromophore will be acting same only.
Okay, okay. I have a one biology question. You told you were making this molecule for PS, right? Photosensitizer, I believe.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Your
And
aim is like a PS, photosensitizer.
yes, for not for a theranostic agent. For that, another work also is there. That is selective.
But actually, your ultimate goal is a PDT, right?
Definitely. But through PDT only theranostic we are achieving.
That's actually PS, photosensitizer.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Can you justify your work? Why you want to do? There is a huge number of photosensitizer in the literature. I think I have written review also on that.
I have seen. I have read that review also, sir.
Can you comment on that? Why you want to make like a huge amount of photosensitizer is there? Why you want to make this kind of less yield compounds? It is not more than 40%, 30%, maybe 10, 12, 1, 2% also is there. Why you want to
not 210, this will be 10% yield compound. And another thing is there, why I want this compound? Because if you see all the photosensitizers, they are my compound, comparing with that, my compound will be contracted porphyrin, and they are all non-planar systems also. So these non-planar contracted porphyrins can, if its size is less itself, your ADME parameters, that is pharmacokinetic parameters of the compound, that is movement of the compound throughout the body, and removing the compound from the body, all those things will be relatively more easier than a very big molecule. So that is one target. Secondly, why we want to utilize this as PDT agent, because of this will be showing very less aggregation power than the planar systems. Many planar, and your review is on NIR1 NIR compounds. This will be
but actually your compounds not even observing is red region, right? Why your molecule is better than whatever
I have actually this is the primary study, and if you come to triester compound. Triester compound, as we have synthesized, that is absorbing in the red region and emitting in the red region. With this incorporation of this ester group itself, this is changing that much change. So and another thing is there, if these compounds are very easily tunable towards this fluorescence and also whatever we have discussed here with published things, that those are all just basics only. And again, we are having red absorbing and emitting systems also in this subfluorine class of compounds.
Okay. Still you have other data, but you are not showing here, right?
Yeah, because that is in patent, but
Yeah.
I have not mentioned here.
Okay, that's fine. I have a
It will be
last
published.
question. I have a last
Dr.
question.
Dr. Chinnaswamy,
Yes,
we
yes.
have many questions, so please.
Yeah. Can I ask last question? It is okay? Time permits.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Last question. Yeah. Actually, in the case of anti-aromatic compound, as you showed, this compound is really interesting. Actually, I never seen Professor T.K. Chandrasekhar sir work extensively. I followed up his work, but I never seen this kind of compounds. Can you convert this anti-aromatic to aromatic?
In DDQ also we have tried oxidation, but because of this electron withdrawing power of this compound and very strong hydrogen bonding involved in this, so this is not undergoing 26 hexaferrin system.
Did you try with the TFA protonation and how the happening, like geometrical changes are happening, and how the TFA protonating, how the NMR changes?
I think I have not shown that.
But
this
you
is,
did it.
This is that this is the whenever we are doing TFA protonation of this compound, I have done an NMR also. This compound is becoming even more aromatic only. And how I can say that is, initially it is coming in 19 ppm range, this peaks, but that is changing into 25 range, that this peak is extending. So that indicates after protonation, this is becoming even more anti-aromatic behavior only. That is what our interpretation.
Okay.
For that we are having explanation also.
Yeah. Thank you, Rahul. Yeah, really, you are doing very good work. And thank you very much. And I'm sorry I took a lot of time, Raju. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm finished. Thank you.
Rahul, we have few more questions.
Yes.
So from participants.
Raju?
Yes, madam, please.
Yeah, Rahul, good to see
Madam.
you after such a long time. Yeah, it's
Yes,
a pleasure.
yes, madam. Thank you.
I would like to know about one or two structures. Can you please go back to slide number 11?
Sure.
11 or the previous one? No.
Yeah.
No, where you have shown the scheme. Yes. Okay, my question is related to, when I look at the overall core of this molecule, even without the ester group, I would consider that as highly electron deficient, because there is a central boron atom, right? So that will be overall,
madam.
it is a very electron deficient atom. So I don't see any chance for a donor acceptor or charge transfer behavior in this structure, correct?
Actually, madam, the electronic effect definitely it will be there, because ester groups are very strong electron withdrawing power is there. So definitely once electron group is there, again it will become more electron deficient only, because whenever we are using.
Yeah, that is very correct. So, and my question is, you have an X, there is an axial ligand, that's what you call it, right? So the axial X. So when you change the axial X from say electron donating to electron withdrawing, do you observe any change in their photophysical behavior? Any reports are there? I'm just curious.
Actually, change in X means Asuka have played a lot of things in subporphyrin. What are the things he observed is, if he is changing X into a very bulkier molecule, so any negative bulkier molecule, that time this compound will be behaving as completely planar form. So that bond will not be existing negative to positive, that ionic form it will exit, and this compound will be planar in structure. And because of that planarity, this compound will be having its own photophysical changes are there.
Yeah, true. True. So what you mean to say is when this become bulky, X become bulky, there will be more of a kind of interaction. That's what
and
you
that
mean?
boron tetrahedral character will be getting loosed, and it will form a planar structure like that. They have papers.
Okay.
And and another thing,
yeah.
whenever the boron, if it is now we have deal with all oxygen. If it is carbon, means we will be able to reduce the polarity of the bond, and that will be even more stable structures. BOH will be easily cleavable structure, but BC bond means they are doing it like that. So that will be even more stable structures also.
And the precursor is aromatic. If you look at the structure, the periphery, there is a conjugation, and how many electrons are there?
14 pi aromatic system, madam. Which compound you have any contracted subporphyrin, subfluorine, everything that is 14 pi aromatic systems.
Okay. And going to that dimer structure, can you please move on to the dimer structure?
Yes, madam. This is the crystal structure. Yes.
Yeah. Fine. So there is a oxygen that links both of these units,
BOB.
right?
Yeah. Interestingly, there is a BOB bond. Yes.
There is a
boron oxygen boron bond. Boron oxygen boron bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So the presence of oxygen changes its donor acceptor behavior. Oxygen can be considered as a single atom donor in this case. Do you see any such any evidence for such a behavior? Like, this oxygen atom, it acts as a donor unit, and you have two electron deficient unit connected to it. So do you observe any such behavior? Any kind of solvent-achromic behavior or?
Yeah, solvent-achromic behavior only I have studied, madam. That is the major work here. That is solvent-achromism is there. This compound is exhibiting very strong solvent-achromic behavior because it is almost non-luminescent. And this another problem also is there.
No, please go ahead.
Emission. This is the thing. These are the two. In DMF and DMSO, this compound is almost non-luminescent character.
All right.
And water, this compound is almost like monomer only, so that is also there. So that is why this is breaking in water buffer medium like that. We are not able to continue the work of this compound in towards biological study too much.
Probably, based on what you said before, this might be undergoing decomposition to monomers. Right?
Buffer medium especially.
Yeah, one could be a planar boron compound, and other could be with an axial OH group. I don't know. I'm just that might be possible, right? It could be undergoing. Have you studied its decomposition profile?
Decomposition profile we have not studied. That is after that we have just thought that this energy transfer we will study, and from application part of the study we will remove this compound just like that we removed only because this compound found degrading character. That is the reason. Okay,
just one last question. And so in cellular imaging, you have shown that the whole cytoplasm gets lighted up, right?
Yes, madam, but this is for some particular protein. Is it binding or not? That particular study we have not done. That is
it protein or some organelles? Maybe you can
maybe that is why maybe some organelle cell organelles also. This is this is a wide field image, so we will not be able to see much. But this is a confocal imaging. So so here it is showing some organelle.
The whole thing is not lighted up completely. It could be organelle specific. Probably,
mitochondria like that I have doubt, but mitochondrial specific dyes that we have not used. That is the thing.
Yeah. You have to do a localization with mitochondria specific dyes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Yes.
Rahul, we have a question from Manivarna. Manivarna, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the session. My question was that in case of photodynamic therapy, when we are using subfluorines, how are we ensuring the cell selectivity? Like if we are supposing work on a tumor cell, then will it affect the will it take oxygen from a neighboring healthy cell, or like how we ensure?
Yeah, for that, what we have to do is, in case of if you are dealing with photosensitizers and any photosensitizers and cells, we have to do in cell imaging study. We have to do mixture of cells. That is, with cancer cell, we will mix with the normal vegetative cells are there, cell lines are there. That we will be mixing, and we will be doing an imaging. We have to do time to time imaging. So around 1 to 3, after 1 to 3 hours, this normal vegetative cells will be removing the photosensitizers almost completely, because they are very much active in their metabolic processes. But cancer cells are lazy. They will not be removing this. This will be standing there in the cancer cell itself. Around after 3 hours means, if you are checking like that, means only cancer cell will be having this photosensitizer, and vegetative cells will be completely removing this one. So that time to time study we have to do, and that image I have not added here.
Okay, sir.
Definitely, that will be once you if you inject a photosensitizer and suddenly you are doing this thing, means not only a cancer cell, every cell will be getting damaged only. That is correct. But if you are waiting and slowly you are after clearance you are giving, means this will be. If that also not possible, means then we have to think about some specific agents, some targeting agents, cancer targeting agents. We have to think only.
Thank you, sir. And sir, is there any toxicity related to subchlorants, or like they are biologically they can be introduced in the body without any side effects?
They cannot. They all photosensitizers are light toxic only. So if it is say without care and without this thing we are introducing, they are toxic compounds only. Any photosensitizer. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Raju, I have one or two queries.
Please.
Actually, it's a clarification. Rahul, nice presentation.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
In your second part of your talk, you are talking about 28 hexapyrin, right?
Yes, sir. 28 hexapyrin.
Yeah, okay. And it is called as a anti-aromatic, right?
Anti-aromatic, Huckel anti-aromatic system, because it is planar.
Just based on number of pi electron. And you have shown some mixed value as well, right?
Yeah, NACS also we have done.
Yeah, this is 1 angstrom or 0.5 angstrom. At what distance it has been calculated? Actually,
I have not done this. Our lab mate, that is one girl only done this. I am not much knowing about NACS things.
Okay. They just why I'm asking, because when I check the other rings like B, C, D, etc., they are slightly aromatic, especially D and G, and there is a highly aromatic for H, I, J, K. So it's just a compared effect, and moreover there is a strong hydrogen bonding interaction, right?
Yeah.
Some R group. That R group, I'm not sure what is that R group.
Ester group.
Yeah. So
Ester group will be acting. That is only locking the system basically. Okay. This is like anulins, right? So in anulins, there are some group. Yeah. Yes, okay. Fine. Okay, fine. I understood. Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Sir, may I ask?
Yes, please.
Rahul, the talk was really interesting and new to all of us. I'm sharing the happiness also, because you are one of the passionate researchers from CA Group. My question is about the synthesis. In the synthetic method you have used, can we expect the fragmentation of the precursor like tripyrin you have used, no?
In which hexapyrin you are speaking, or in hexapyrin I am having another porphyrin also, which is a two totally different cis porphyrin also. That is you are speaking, or here in subchlorin you are saying?
I'm asking about if some fragmentations are occurring to the precursor itself, like tripyrin, or that, we can get some N-confused one also, right?
Yeah, N-confused one probability is there. If you are using here, but in subfluorine case, there is not, this is not exactly following the porphyrin synthetic methodology. Hexafuran, that is exactly Lindsay method. So a lot of fragments and lot of another porphyrins, cis porphyrin, normal porphyrin, everything is forming in that. That I have not mentioned because only single compound is mentioned. But here, there will not be that much. Here, high temperature, so everything will lead to polypyrrole formation even more.
Okay. So talking about the subporphyrins, we used to see boron at the center, right? So because of the boron only, we are getting that bowl shape, as I understand. So,
yes,
there can be any other substitute for this boron, like any other reports like that, because
no,
you are actually aiming
so
at
far,
for.
so no, actually, so far no reports. Whenever I presented this work in 2019, one of our school faculty have suggested to do with aluminum also. But aluminum is very big moiety, so that reaction didn't work properly. Means aluminum chloride we used, but that I couldn't make clear that chemistry. That is why I stopped that. Maybe you can explore, maybe some other like that, something explore further. That will be an interesting thing.
Okay, then another thing is somewhere you have mentioned like a meso-free compound. So I found it like an A to B system. So why did you mention like a meso-free compound?
Actually, we also initially, you might be talking about the paper. Initially, we also written that as A to B system, but reviewer suggested strongly that that is not A to B system. This is meso-free only. You have to change the title. That is the reason we have changed from A to B to meso. Sir also suggested, okay, one meso is free, so we can name that as meso-free.
Okay. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions? Rahul, I have a general question. So I see that our scholars sometimes their face was red when they spend more than hour or 2 hours in front of a column. How's your feelings?
Sir, actually, I used to do from NIT. So NIT, I have the 4 days columns and all. So that is now it is nothing. Column is very starting phase. It will be like that. Later.
So
because of that fed up, I went and told Arun sir that, sir, I wanted to quit porphyrin chemistry. Second year or third year, I think, because other people joined with me, started getting papers and all. I didn't get anything. I am doing column only. I went and told him that, sir, I want to change my field. I will do some plant chemistry, isolation chemistry, like that. Then he told, if you want to do, I will not allow also, because if in my lab I will not allow. Reason is I spent my life for this compound. So this compound, if you are doing, means we have to be there in column very long time, sir.
And I'm getting only 2%. I think this one is 2%, right? You got?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
that's really.
But later we were able to synthesize this from monomer to dimer. That conversion also we have done. Then it will be reasonably more than 80% yield. Whenever hydroxy group is there, this condensation reaction we can.
You have that.
Beginning it was very big struggle only to isolate that. We not knowing also what is that like that. Yes, sir.
So you really deserve applause. So any more questions? So as there are no more questions, so please join me to thank Dr. Rahul Suman for his excellent lecture on porphyryl chemistry, and see how many questions you face. And I'm sure there are many, but we have to stop at some point. So Dr. Rahul, we wish all the best for your research career. I also congratulate Dr. Sujit sir, our HOD and entire Department of Chemistry for one more successful event. Now I request him Rasha Rahman for vote of thanks. What to Rasha?
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chief Guest at the event, Dr. Rahul Soman, the Chair of the session, Dr. Raju Day, the Head of the Department, other faculties, and my dear friends. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this event to all who have assembled here. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank our beloved speaker, Dr. Rahul Soman, for taking out time from his busy schedule to attend this webinar. I, on behalf of the Department of Chemistry, NIT Calicut, extend to you a very hearty vote of thanks for giving us deep insights into expanded porphyrins. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our hearty thanks to Dr. Raju Dey for chairing this event. I would also like to thank the head of the department and other faculty members of the department and the student coordinators Jishnu Sai and Vidya for organizing this webinar series. Also thanks to all the participants present here for paying your attention for learning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you, Rahul, for your time, valuable time for us.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving opportunity.
It was a very nice lecture, and it was a very good experience also. That means you are coming in the department after a long time, even in the.
I'm really happy to see your people also and speaking.
Rahul, it is very pleasant to listen to you. Wonderful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am expecting you, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Because I had a class in which I lost my connectivity, so I had to extend class for 20 minutes. That's why I could join only later.
Oh, sir.
So in fact, Sujit was proposing having your lecture much earlier. He could arrange only now because of multi reasons. Because he proposed some, I think, some 7-8 months back.
Yes, anyway, this is the ideal time also because here also lockdown. Our lab one corona case is there, so we are in home only now. So that is also.
So how is your family there? She's there now. She's here only now.
Yeah, she's here now, sir. She's here now, and now she want to move to Kerala very soon.
No, she has taken leave now, or there she's managing from home their classes.
Now they are she's on leave only, vacation only. She's having vacation, right?
We get very good reports about her performance also there now. It's very, both of you, we are very happy to see that both of you are stamping your identities at the respective locations. Great.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
When you come, please visit us. We do not know. We are also slightly troubled. You have seen all the new faculty in the department. We have Chinaya-san, you made Shankarlinga, you may be knowing earlier.
Yes, sir. Yes, Shankar sir and all I know, sir. But I have not came and met. If coming, actually, I have to come also. Once the
Maushmi, you might not have seen her. Maushmi, she's online.
Yes.
She's
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah.
So I have joined on 2020 September.
Actually, I have not came after that department, sir. That is why.
So I think there is some kind of connection because I am sitting in your PhD supervisor's room. I am sharing the same cabin. So yes. That cabin has been allotted for me. So there are a lot of memory of you, obviously. So whenever definitely you will come, please meet.
Sure, madam. Sure. That and all too much emotional to me actually. Cabin memories of. That is why I am coming. I came till Sujata madam and I once twice, but I was not able to come to department. For me means it is little bit more emotional only.
Yes, that's true. But I mean.
Yeah, definitely I will come, madam. Definitely I will come.
Yeah. Good luck and very nice lecture and very informative lecture. So good luck for your future career.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Rahul, Janardhan, you might have seen. Janardhan is here. Shankar, Raju, Janardhan, they joined together. Janardhan, you have not seen?
No, sir. Actually, I left in 2015 itself, and I have.
But in between, you came once,
Once I came to this thing only, but I have not much visited.
Janardhan, are you online? Janardhan?
Yes, sir. I am in the line. Nice lecture, Rahul. It's nice to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
So you have done a very good work. Of course, the synthesis is very, very difficult, right? Especially the purification of these porphyrin types.
Yes, sir. Purification that is means little bit more problematic.
Okay. In my labs, the similar kind of work is going on, not like the porphyrin kind of thing, but we are also struggling to get the yield. I am also getting, at least 2 or 3%, which I could not able to process further.
Yeah, but right now NIT you got NMR and all, so that is, I think it will be very much supportive for your work.
Yes. So nice to see you, Rahul. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you for your nice presentation.
Okay, Rahul, then see you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
May God's blessings be always with you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all wishes for organizing.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Sujit, see you late.
Yes, see you, sir. See you all. Thank you.
Sure.
ഞാൻ വിളിക്കാം.
ശരി, sir. Okay.